Hello friends, today we will talk about the astrological signs, the significance of the different animals as in the Western and the Indian astrological charts. The astrological sign as such refers to the circle of small animals. That's what it means. Some animals which undergoes some cycle. There are no standard notes about what these animals signify, and I'll try to give my view on it. If it makes sense, consider it. If not, just reject it. But you'll have to check if it really makes sense. So the first one is, in theory, it should be Pisces, which is in fact the last one in the traditional chart. So the thing what we have currently is Aries. The first three signs refers to the spermatogenesis, the process through which how sperm cells are created within the male body. Aries, Taurus and Gemini, these three. So what do they signify? The process through which how the sperm cells are created from the germ cells, going through the primary spermatocytes and then secondary and then spermatids and then the final sperm. The first one just refers to the Aries. If it just talk about Aries, so that signifies the earliest stage, since the sperm cell at that state will have to travel a long distance. People say Aries people born on that sign will have to travel a lot, and so on, so on. So it goes on like that. The next one is Taurus. The difference between Taurus and Aries is Taurus, referred to as a bull, will be bigger in size with some strong horns. The reason for selecting Taurus is the sperms will be using a chemical called acrosome, which is stored at the top of their head. This is the chemical which they use to penetrate the egg cell. So just like how bulls use their horns to fight, or let's say fight against its enemies, the sperm cells use this portion of their head, and that's the reason why they use the behavior of a bull, which is in other words Taurus. They will be strong and so on, so on. The third one is Gemini. That is the last stage of spermatogenesis, whereby two identical sperm cells are created from the original cell. The last product is two identical cells are created, which is otherwise called as Gemini. And we say someone born on that sign will be having two wives, two cars, two jobs, and so on, so on. So these three signify the happenings within a male body. Now there should be a logic. The next three is from the female body. The first one is Cancer. Cancer just signifies the state of the egg cell in its primary condition. So within a male body, the sperm cells are generated continuously. Millions of cells are generated every day after someone reaches 20 years or so. But on the female body, a female child, when it is born, it is already born with the egg cells, which it will ovulate throughout its lifetime. So such cells are having some hard core. I mean, the shells, the outer shells are very rigid, and that's the reason why they say it is it can be compared to Cancer or a crab with hard shells around it. Yeah. And the nature will also be like that, of a crab. So then comes Leo, which is a lion, and this is the stage which happens after ovulation. Every month when an egg is released from the ovary, the egg is absorbed, or let's say taken in, by the fallopian tubes using elements called fimbriae. Yeah? So if you look at the way how the fallopian tubes appear, from this angle, it will be similar to the way how we see the mouth of a lion, with male lion with lot of hairs on its face. Yeah, so that will be same for the fallopian tubes as well. So if you look at the sign of this Leo, it will contain two valve like thing, like which is similar to the heart structure. In fact, it signifies the two fallopian tubes. Yeah, that is its actual significance. So the egg cell will have to go through this Leo or lion in order to live. Yeah, so it goes in, and then comes the last stage, which is Virgo. After going through this, it becomes fit to unite with the sperm cell. That's it. So at that stage, it typically acts as a female, like a household female. When I say household female, what I mean is the sperm cells, they don't care about anything. They just start from the starting point, and then they come straight to this destination. But the egg cell has got a lot of more responsibilities. Out of the many cells, it has to allow only one sperm cell within it. Yeah, and it has to block all other sperms, and then it has to process the DNA from the sperm, and then it has to create a new life. So the characteristics of someone born with Virgo sign will be like a typical household women, taking care of all the household duties, making sure that everything is fine, and so on and so on. So then comes Libra. It is the stage when the number of chromosomes within the zygote are equalized and made as a diploid cell. All other cells in our body has got 46 chromosomes except for the sex cells, the sperms and the egg cells. These two have only 23. When they unite, then the number of chromosomes become normal, equal, which is signified by the balance or the scales. Yeah. So at that stage, how does it behave? I mean, what is the significance? People will talk carefully. I mean, they have to balance with one another. That's the reason why it is signified with the scales. Then comes Scorpio. The fertilized egg will come from the fallopian tubes, and it will pass through the uterus. Yeah, chances of the fertilized egg cell being washed away is very high, but it has to find a mechanism through which it can embed itself into the endometrium lining of the uterus. If not, it's washed away, gone, no new life. So how does it work? It works, we can just talk about two steps there. One is adhesion. It comes very close, and then it penetrates, it pushes into it. The mechanism which is employed by the egg cell is the same as how scorpions work. It stings, and then it paralyzes that area, and then it gets the prey. Yeah, this is the logic of the scorpions. So the same mechanism is used by this egg cell. There are, let's say, some, it's not really poison, but could be some enzymes being transferred from the egg cell, fertilized egg cell, into the endometrium lining to arrest its movement, and then it pushes itself into the endometrium lining so that it can get into the female body. So that is so it has to be strong. It really has to fight to get in. So people who are born with that sign will be quite adamant, and they will go forward with what they want to achieve. So next one is Sagittarius. So that is symbolized as a bow and arrow. Right after implantation, which is after pushing itself into the endometrium lining, what happens next is the formation of a primitive streak. This is a small lining which happens in our earliest form of the body, which triggers the formation of symmetry in our body. See, I have right hand, left hand. They both start at the same place and they both are of the same length, and so on and so on. So this symmetry is the earliest form of symmetry is triggered by this primitive streak. It's a line which just starts from one end to the top, and then the backbone will be formed, and so on, so on. So this lining is symbolized by this Sagittarius. There are many reasons I can use to justify, but I'll try to cover it in a different video. Why this and how this Sagittarius plays a role in some Puranas and so on, especially this bow and arrow. It has got a big role. Just try to think of the gods who hold bow and arrow. So then comes Capricorn. Though Capricorn is a sign which is portrayed as a goat with a fish tail, the real form of the Capricorn can be found in India. In otherwise, in Tamil, it is called Makaram. We have the animal Makara. So it's a crocodile sort of thing, which they say goddess Ganges used as a vehicle, Lord Varuna used as a vehicle. So what it basically means is, if we look at the earliest form of any human being, it will be looking horrible. I mean, now we make our face very neat and shiny, and we look quite decent. But when we were within the belly of our mothers, we had strange forms, and it was looking horrible. So such a form is called Makaram. If you go to temples, you can see Makara carvings on the walls and so on. Out of the mouth of this Makara comes the whole world, which is our being comes within this Makara. This is to signify Makaram. And then we have Aquarius. Aquarius is symbolized by a man with a water pot. Out of the whole cycle of these animals, out of these 12 in number, this is the only place where we find a real man with a lot of water, with a water pot. That is to signify that is how a man gets into the amniotic sac of the mother, within the mother's belly. That's it. The water pot signifies the amniotic fluid. It is a continuous flow of this amniotic fluid which, let's say, nourishes us when we are within the mother's belly, and we look like a normal human being in that picture of Aquarius. So this is the last state. But if we look in the traditional way, we have one more, which is Pisces, which is two fishes looking in different directions. So ideally, the fish business should be the first one. Why? Because for a new life to be formed, there has to be an initiative from a father and a mother. They unite and then a human being is born. Even before that, this Pisces, the combination of these two fishes in two different directions signify that at one point in time they were together and then they separate in two different bodies and then they are assembled together to create a new human being. So that is the first one, and then all these animals come into picture. We can also say that this could be the Pisces could be the last one. However, that will not fit with Puranas. I'll try to explain in the next videos how these 12 zodiac signs fit with Puranas, and then how we can match them together. Thank you.